A giant asteroid crashed into the Earth, and a short time after that the dinosaurs disappeared. It would seem that now there is nothing to be afraid of, but after that rather scary creatures began to evolve. At that time, mammals were undergoing significant changes, some of them, for example, resembling horses and rhinos. Immediately after the extinction of dinosaurs reached huge sizes when dinosaurs were dominant, which was about 146 million years ago. Mammals were relatively small entities. Most of the time they lived in the shadows of their much larger enemies so as not to become their meal. Many of them weighed about 10 kilograms or even less. But when the dinosaurs became extinct, it was easy to feed. Finally, there was a chance to take advantage of the new environment. Such as incendiary, they grew to enormous sizes. Their weight began with about 18 kilograms, and eventually in just 16 million years they reached a weight of 0.05 tons. The period seems deafening, but by geological standards it is relatively short. Large body sizes, further to them and some other mammals. Advantage after the disappearance of the dinosaurs. Now they dominated and were ferocious creatures to be feared. Other brandateria whose fossils have been found in North America have been named thunderbeasts from the Sioux tribe, as they believed these fossils descended from giant thunderhorses that roamed the plains during thunderstorms, and it remains a mystery how these thunderbeasts were able to grow so quickly. One theory is that they gradually increased in size over time. Another variant is that they experienced sharp growth spurts. But there were also periods when they barely changed. Or perhaps there was a mixed look. Some were small and some were larger. But in general a large number of them eventually grew large. Scientists studied the pedigrees of 276 thunderbeasts and realized that option 3 fits best. It's all about competition. In those days most mammals were small. So there was fierce competition between small herbivores for food and larger ones like thunderbeasts. Competition for resources is necessary, and there was less for survival. So large species had a better chance of surviving, while small ones quickly became extinct. So yes, the end of the era of dinosaurs does not mean the end of impressive giant animals from which you want to escape. For example, I definitely wouldn't want to run into this guy. At first it reminded me of a giant sloth. But those evolved after tens of millions of years. This giant diamond lived about 50-60 million years ago in North America. It was about 2.5 meters long. The clothes and nails were unusually massive and thick. The tail was also very thick, apparently. With its help the beast supported itself and stood on its hind legs. His skull was relatively short and small compared to his large body. Interestingly, he still had clavicles, bones that no longer exist. There is something comforting about them that makes them less scary. They are probably barely plants that were soft enough to be easily chewed. Now imagine a snake that is so big that it can easily rival the T-Rex. This is no mythical creature from science fiction movies. And Titanoboa is an incredible monster that lived about 60 million years ago in the dense forests and rivers of South America. It was the largest snake we know of. It was similar to the ancient ancestor of modern boa constrictors and anacondas, which still live in the same region. Her body length was a mind-boggling 13 meters, which is longer than a school bus to support her gigantic body. Titan boa had about 250 vertebrae. Comparable to a small car. The creature hunted fish and crocodiles that inhabited the waters and rivers of its native land. A snake killing a crocodile, an impressive sight. Although Titanoboa is now the record holder among these reptiles, scientists believe we may find fossils of snakes that may be even larger. In this list there must be some scary crocodile. Back in the era of dinosaurs there were monsters that reached 12 meters in length and enjoyed snacking on them. Barinazoo lived between 15 and 55 million years ago on the territory of modern Venezuela. Peru and Argentina. He belonged to a group that existed in the time of dinosaurs. But, like many of the best years, its heyday happened after the disappearance of the dinosaurs. In contrast, the crocodiles that hang on to the edge of the water. This could easily be stumbled upon anywhere, as he liked to walk on land to check out what was going on around. Notice his flattened, blade-like teeth. They resemble the teeth of carnivorous dinosaurs even more than those of other crocodiles. This adaptation helped Master Zuhu catch prey during cool afternoon walks on land. This terrible creature could grow up to 6 meters in length and weigh more than a ton. That is, more than modern marine crocodiles. This rhino, whose name I can't even try to pronounce, was a massive herbivore that lived in eastern Eurasia 34 million years ago. Although the creature looked like a rhinoceros, it still had some differences, such as an elongated neck almost 2 meters long, which made it look like a giraffe's neck. The height of the creature at the shoulders exceeded 4.5 meters, and it towered over most other animals. It looks slender, but at the same time incredibly heavy, means of 15 tons. It is like 23 adult African elephants or even a small house. One of the largest predators that roamed Australia during the Ice Age was the mammal, and a terrifying reptile called Megalania. It could grow up to 5.5 meters in length, more than 2 times the size of the Komodo monitor, one of the largest lizards alive today. Norgalani had sharp, curved teeth, similar to those of Komodo lizards, which meant that her bite was very powerful and possibly even poisonous. Yato acted in such a way that it did not allow the victim's wounds to heal normally, which meant that the poor animals became weaker and did not even have to make special efforts to catch the poor girl after one bite, regardless of where she tried to escape. Moving on to the birds. The elephant bird reached almost 3 meters in height and cheerfully over 450 kilograms. Could you have seen it on the island of Madagascar more than 1,000 years ago? What, not so long ago compared to others? One of the many species of elephant birds was so large that it could rival some flightless dinosaurs such as Utahraptor and eggs in size. She had gigantic ones too. One egg could weigh more than 9 kilograms, which is heavier than a bowling ball. There was plenty of room inside the egg, enough to fit over 100 chicken eggs. Land and air were definitely unsafe places. There you couldn't be sure whether they wanted to eat you or not. And enter the situation wasn't much better, because you heard the Leviodons. It was an ancient, powerful predator, a species of cachaloth, but much larger and more formidable than those we know today. If modern cachalotes ate mostly squid, Leviathan probably had a slightly different diet, including other whales. At the same time and in the same place as Rebidon roamed another giant predator. Who else but our dear shark Hunger? Scientists believe that Megalodon also hunted other whales, and the fight for the most delicious morsel or even among themselves must have been exciting.